Hello and welcome to Virtual Hub Tech. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Genmachine mini PC. This one comes with a engineering sample ES CPU. Engineering CPUs are early revisions of CPUs. So in this case, it is a Ryzen 7 6800 equivalent. ES being this was a test version. Genmachine are claiming that the performance might be about 10% less than a 6800 RS. This is a 8-core CPU running at 4.4 gigahertz, and they've also got a 6-core version as well. This one also comes with a Radeon 680M iGPU as well, DDR5 support, and PCIe 4.0 as well. ES CPUs may also have a bit of stability issues or other weird quirks about them. In this review, I will be installing Windows 11 onto this, and we will be checking out a few games as well. This is to see if it's worth saving a bit of money by picking up one of these non-retail ES CPU units. And this is what comes in the box. It comes in a little sleeve. You open it up. You've got a stand. This is so you can have it mounted vertically. It is made out of plastic. You've also got some screws, some rubber feet, as well as a SATA power and data connector as well. You can fit in a 2.5-inch drive. I've got a UK power plug, and I am also getting this Hunt Key power supply as well. It is a 100 watts B Type-C connector. This feels nice. I'm really impressed to see this in here. And then you've got the mini PC itself. I picked up the bare bone unit, which means it does not come with RAM or a NVMe drive, but it does come with a Wi-Fi card pre-installed. So opening this up, you do get another smaller fan over here for cooling the VRM. You can also fit in a 2.5-inch drive, so it would go in like this. It will go in like this. You screw it in here, and then the drive goes here. But if you want to install a 2.5-inch drive, you do have to remove this fan. I'm not going to be doing that. I've picked up one of these 2 terabyte NVMe drives, PCIe Gen 4 from Netak, and this is the one that I'm going to be installing. I've also got DDR5 memory as well. This unit supports up to 4,800 megahertz dual channel, and it also comes with a Realtek Wi-Fi 6 card pre-installed. So this drive has a heatsink. There is enough room for the top, but the back also has this heatsink as well. And this is making it a bit difficult to install, mainly because of these cables for the CMOS battery and everything going on here. I have got another drive. This is a 512 gigabyte NVMe drive and PCIe Gen 4 as well. I'm just going to install that since it's much slimmer. And yeah, this is a lot easier to install. So on the front of the unit, you've got a power button. You've got a headphone microphone combo. You've also got 2 USB 3.0 ports, as well as a USB Type-C 4.0 port, and a RGB button. This changes the RGB. On the back, you've got 2 Ethernet ports. One is a 2.5 gigabit port, and the other one is a 1 gigabit port. And then you've also got a HDMI display port, as well as 2 USB 2.0 ports. I'll be using this for keyboard and mouse, as well as a USB Type-C power input. Around the sides, you do have some ventilation holes, more ventilation holes, and some more ventilation holes. And the top is perforated, and you've got this large fan at the top as well. That's going to be blowing air down. So I've got 3 items over here. I've got a portable monitor, I've got a keyboard, a wireless keyboard, and I've got my mini PC and all the cables in these 3 little packages over here. And what I want to show you is just how easy it is to set this up and get everything going. So, keyboard, get out a monitor. This is a QHD 144Hz touchscreen portable monitor from VChance. Pretty cool. I've got a separate review for that as well. Check it out. Open up the bag. Got my power cable. I've got my mouse as well. Got the mini PC. And and then a single USB-C cable. This is what I was most excited to show you. There is a full USB Type-C 4.0 port, which does support power delivery and DisplayPort Alt. This means that I can power my monitor, I can transmit a video signal, as well as get the speakers working through a single USB Type-C cable. Let's get this. So let's get this here. Plug this into the front. And then I'm plugging this into the side, just one cable. Let's get this off to the side over here. Got my keyboard, got my mouse. And then finally, the power brick. Turn this on. I have installed Windows 11 onto this machine already, and there you go. Onto Windows, touchscreen is working. You've got an RGB button over here, so pressing that changes the RGB. There's a few presets here, and you can just turn it off completely. So that's it if you don't want it on. Don't forget to check out our website, where we'll be organizing eSport events, as well as doing written reviews and blog posts as well. Sometimes the Alice Core 0 can turbo up to 4.5 gigahertz and 8 cores, 6 threads. And this is an AMD engineering sample, memory DDR5, and it is running at 4,800 megahertz. The GPU core clock also goes up to 1.9 gigahertz, but you can overclock this using the Universal x86 tuning utility. I'm now going to let Cinebench run for about 10 minutes, and we'll see what sort of score we can get. So the benchmark is finished now, and I did get a score of 720 points on Cinebench 2024, which is pretty impressive. And there are some samples over here as well of what some other CPUs are also scoring. Next, I'm going to be checking out Apex Legends. This is running at 1080p with everything set to low. And then the Texas stream budget is set to high. There is not any resolution scaling. I'm just going to go to the firing range. So right here I am getting around 95 frames per second, so I would say the game is very playable. My shooting's a bit off, I haven't played in a while, but game is really playable. At 1080p low presets, you should have no problem, and it looks okay as well. It looks pretty good.
It's Dukes o'clock.
Mortal Kombat 11, 1080p, everything's set to minimum. Let's see. This is not a game that I play, but I did want to show that it can run. So you are getting around 30 to 45 frames per second during the cutscene. But once the game starts, you are getting roughly 60 frames per second. The game looks okay and it is smooth. So you should have no problem playing it like this if you're happy with 60 frames per second. The last game that I wanted to show will be GTA 5. This is running at 1080p. Let's go back there. This is running at 1080p. There you go. This is running at 1080p with everything set to normal or as low as it can go. Inside my apartment, I was getting around 90 frames per second, but once you're outside, once we're in the real world, you're getting roughly 60. You may dip to around 50 frames per second too. But I would say it's still pretty playable. You could always try and overclock the GPU slightly, maybe have it running at 2200 megahertz instead of the 1.9, and that might yield you a few more frames per second. Oops. But driving through the city around roughly 60 frames per second, might dip a bit lower, might go a bit above. But this is more than playable. So the fan, the large one, it makes a bit of a grinding, rattling sound. I don't know if this is something that would go away on its own. It only happens at low RP. If you start using the machine or doing anything, even web browsing, it does just go away. I don't think this is normal though. I think I might just have a defective fan in this unit, which is why it's making that sound. There is a smaller fan at the bottom, which I showed you earlier. I did just unplug it. I don't see that as an issue since you do need to unplug it if you are going to be installing a 2.5-inch drive. I'm not installing a 2.5-inch drive, but I did want to lower my noise level, lower the decibels a bit, and small fans are a bit noisy, so I just unplugged it. It's running fine just without that. The CPU running at around 4.4 gigahertz turbo, and the RAM is also running at 4800 megahertz. I can't get the RAM any higher. I did put in 5600 megahertz DDR5 RAM kits inside, and they just go down to 4800. In the BIOS, there are settings to allow the RAM to run faster, but they don't really seem to do anything. The two Ethernet ports at the back, you do have 1 gigabit Ethernet, that's from Realtek, and then you also have a 2.5 gigabits Ethernet. That's a Intel i226 chipset. The drivers for those two Ethernet ports I did get from the ASUS website. Genmachine do have their own website, but they never really had drivers for this unit over here. The ASUS drivers work just fine. The Wi-Fi card also requires drivers, so if you're installing Windows, like a fresh install, you're not going to get Wi-Fi connectivity just out of the box. What you're getting here is an ES version of the Ryzen 68000H with a 10% performance penalty. So what I'm seeing is 4.4 gigahertz on the CPU and then around 1900 megahertz on the iGPU. This will affect gaming performance, but I have found you can overclock the iGPU using, so I use Universal x86 tuning utility, and that did allow me to run the iGPU at 2.2 gigahertz, which would give you a bit of a performance increase.